Perfect. Well, welcome. I appreciate the opportunity and am thrilled to be here today. As Stephanie said, my name is Elizabeth Lintelman, and I am going to be talking today about protecting your peace and leveraging your energy by applying the let them theory. As Stephanie mentioned, I have had the privilege of working at Rasmussen for 17 years and currently serve as the Senior Director of Career Services, where I get to support a team who help our alumni find work in their field of study. But like each and every one of you, I am more than just my job title, as I wear many hats in my life. I am the mother to two smart, passionate, caring girls. I'm a wife and a small business owner. My husband and I actually own a restaurant and a food truck in southern Minnesota, which is a very interesting story, but not one I'm going to dive into today. And I'm also a level 1 certified CrossFit coach. And I'm telling you all of this because I'm really driven to help others achieve goals, both personally and professionally. And so I'm really fortunate to be able to share my perspective with you today. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. So let's kick this off. So show of hands in the chat. I think you can even like drop a little emoji. Who here has ever lost sleep over something someone else did at work? Maybe it was a coworker that sent a passive aggressive email, or you're in a meeting and your manager forgets to recognize your work, or you've inadvertently been left out of a group email that aligns with your roles. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of a lot of thumbs up, which I'm assuming means like, yes, that's me, not like a thumbs up, yay for being left out, right? Yeah, okay, yep, I'm seeing lots of those. Okay, Stephanie, can you launch a poll for me? I'm going to keep you guys on your toes today, so I appreciate all of you participating. So we're going to launch a quick poll. The poll is, how often do you get frustrated at work by someone else's behavior? Maybe it's a coworker, it's a patient, it's your boss, it's a subordinate, it's a client. I mean, you pick it. How often does somebody else's behavior frustrate you? So several times a day, a few times a week, maybe every once in a while? Or are you the rare unicorn that doesn't get frustrated by another person? So go ahead. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds. I see some people putting it in the chat, which is totally fine. But I'm just curious. So I'm going to have Stephanie close the poll. Hopefully you were all paying attention and voted. I'm going to have her close it and then share the results. So let's see what it looked like. Okay, so here we go. So several times a day, about a quarter of us, a few times a week. Good, that is 50%. Okay, you guys are doing pretty well. Every once in a while, a quarter of you, and there are 6 of you that are rare unicorns that don't get frustrated. So that's awesome. I'm hopeful that you're still able to take a few interesting tidbits away from today's conversation. But I used to think that the solution to me being frustrated to other people's was like, I needed to try harder. I need to control the situation. I need to make everybody happy. But I was exhausted mentally and physically until I learned 2 words that shift how I think and how I live, and not just at work, but in life. Let them. Now, don't worry, this is not going to be a 40-minute long pep talk about detachment. The let them theory is not about giving up. It's really about giving yourself back your peace and your power. So let me walk you through where we are headed today. First, we're going to start with a simple and powerful mindset shift. The difference between let them and let me. Then we're going to talk about how to take control back, not of other people, but of your focus, your boundaries, and your response. From there, we're going to apply it to the real life. We're going to talk about workplace challenges like stress, difficult people, and burnout. Then we're going to look at what it means for your career growth and how to shift from feeling stuck to taking ownership of what's next. And then I'm going to give you a simple, practical framework that you can use immediately, something that you can apply the next time a situation tests your patience. And finally, we're going to wrap up with a few takeaways that I hope that you will carry with you long after today's session. So at the core of all of this is one idea. Let them, and let me choose what happens next. So let's dive in. Quick backstory, the Let Them Theory is a book that was written by Mel Robbins. It originally went viral, and it's all about not chasing people who don't choose you. And when I first read the book, I thought, wait a minute, this does apply to work too, because let's be real, the workplace is full of mini relationship dramas. So quick reflection, drop in the chat one word that describes how you usually feel when someone else's behavior frustrates you. Let me give you a couple of prompts. Not that this ever happens to me. People not replying to your emails. Meetings that could have been emails. Bosses or coworkers taking credit for your ideas. Okay, annoyed, frustrated. Gosh, I feel like this would be a great like word cloud. Annoyed, frustrated, shut down, disrespected. My time isn't important. Yes. Unimportant. Yes. Annoyed. Yeah, there's so I think somebody said tickled in there. It's like the chat is going crazy. Very annoyed, disrespected, singled out. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's like no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. And many of us have spent years trying to be everything for everyone, thinking that, well, if I could just do enough or say the right things, if I could just keep everyone happy, I'm finally going to feel good about myself. But what ends up happening? We work harder and still someone's disappointed, but it does not have to be this way. We have to stop wasting our time, our energy, and our happiness trying to control things we can't control, like other people's opinions, moods, or actions, and instead focus on the one thing we can control, which is ourselves. So here's the thought. If someone doesn't include you or support you or see your worth, let them. When you stop trying to control what isn't yours to control, you stop wasting your most valuable resources, which are your time and your energy. So here's how this works. The let them theory has two sides. It's kind of like a breath in and a breath out. So step one, let them. Let them make decisions you disagree with. Let them react the way they react. Let them choose not to understand. And then step two, let me. Let me decide how I'll respond. Let me focus on what I can control. Let me choose peace instead of power struggles. Now, here's an example. I'm curious how many of you can relate to this. Years ago, I worked with someone that would post very passive aggressive articles or comments on social media. It felt like their comments were aimed directly at me, and I would stew on them for days, losing sleep and feeling really bad about myself. And that was until I realized I was giving them all of the power. I was spending my time and my energy trying to control something that wasn't mine to control. No matter how hard I tried, I can't control their thoughts or their actions or what they post online. But what I could control was my response. Let them. Let them post passive aggressive, snarky comments all day long. Let me determine what I do next. Let me unfriend or unfollow them. Let me focus on what I can control, which are my thoughts and my actions. It is a reset button for your mind, your boundaries, and honestly, your sanity. And if you think about it, the reason this hits so hard is because most of us have spent our whole careers doing the exact opposite, trying to control everything and everyone. So let's talk about why we struggle to let go. Let's be honest, letting go is hard because we have been trained to believe that control equals competence. And I don't know about you, but I want to be seen as capable, prepared, on top of things. So what do? Well, I try to like micromanage and overthink, or my personal favorite, I replay conversations in my head for like 3 days straight, usually when I'm trying to fall asleep, about all of the things I should have said or could have said, or why did I say that? But here's what's really happening. My brain thinks that control equals safety. We are hardwired for the need for control. And this desire extends into needing to control everything about our lives, our time, our thoughts, our actions, our environment. Control makes us feel comfortable and safe. So naturally, we try to control everyone and everything around us, oftentimes without even realizing it. But the fact is, there's one thing that you will never be able to control, no matter how hard you try. You will never be able to control or change another person. How much time have you spent trying to change people? Battling to control a situation, worrying about what people say or think or do, and all you've done is create unnecessary stress, tension, and friction for yourself and in your relationships. We think that if I can just manage everyone's reactions, I can just avoid pain and fear. But that is an illusion, because people are going to be people. Because no matter how much we want to try to control our coworkers or our patients or our customers or our supervisors, the truth is, I hate to break it to you, you can't. People will do what they want to do. They will make their choices and live their own lives. Trying to extend control over things you can't does not calm your fears. It only amplifies them. Your coworker is going to be moody. Your boss might forget your name during a presentation. Your inbox is never going to be zero. The peace we're chasing doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from managing how we respond when they do what they do. Now, I want to be clear about something. There is a big difference between let them and let it go. Letting go can feel like defeat, like surrendering to something beyond your control. Whereas let them is the opposite. It is an act of strength. When you say, let them, you are not giving up or walking away. You are releasing that need to control how things should happen, and allowing events to unfold as they will. And in doing so, you free yourself. It is an active, empowered choice to let go of control you never truly had. Saying let them means you stop giving your power to other people or external forces, and you take it back for yourself. You focus on what you can control, your response. Each time you choose let them, you reclaim that power. And your power doesn't come from managing or controlling others. It comes from how you respond. And that's where the let me enters. When you say let me, you take responsibility for what you think, what you say, and what you do. You recognize that you are really in control over what happens next. And that's where your true strength lies. So, if we can't control other people, what can we control? And there's good news. There is still plenty of things you do control. So my control freaks out there, don't worry. You just can't control other people. You control your effort, how you show up when nobody is watching. You control your focus, where your mental energy goes. You control your boundaries, what you say yes to and no to. And you control your response, that tiny pause before you react. That pause, that's your power. It's the space between chaos and choice. So the next time someone sends you a snarky email, because they will, or misses a deadline, take that beat and silently say, let them. And then say, let me decide how I want to handle this. Because when you stop reacting to everything, you start leading yourself. And that is the real promotion. Okay, now that we've reclaimed our sanity, let's talk about stress. So picture this. I've been in this situation before. Maybe you have too. I don't know how many of you have like instant messenger at work. We have Teams Messenger, right? Like think of old school AOL instant message, right? Maybe you get an instant message from your boss with the subject line, do you have a minute? Or maybe you come in on a Monday morning and you have a last minute like meeting invite from human resources at 9 a.m. and you're like, what? What happens? If you're anything like me, my heart rate spikes, right? I haven't even talked to my boss yet. I haven't even attended the meeting yet. And my blood pressure is through the roof. That's your amygdala, your emotional alarm system saying, danger, danger, something's about to ruin your day. And when we get triggered by tone or feedback or lack of recognition, the amygdala takes over. And our logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, it's like checks out. He's like, you got it, amygdala, you got this. I'm taking a break. But this actually is not ideal because our prefrontal cortex is responsible for the higher level cognitive functions like, I don't know, decision making and rational thought. But the good news is that we can override the amygdala's alarm system by saying, let them. It's like pressing a mental pause button. It signals your body, this isn't my emergency. And then let me brings your logic back online. It is so simple, but it is so powerful. Let them, let me breathe. So I want to practice. We're going to put this into practice, okay? I want you to think about something that's been frustrating you, maybe at work or your personal life. Don't worry, you don't have to like put it in the chat for everybody to see. I want you to think about something that has been frustrating you, okay? Got it? Now silently say to yourself, let them. And then I want you to say, let me. And I want you to take a deep breath. Feel that bit of distance? That's you moving from reaction to response. That is emotional intelligence in action. And the best part, it doesn't just make you calmer, it makes you sharper. You know, one of the hardest professional lessons I ever learned was this. You can do everything right and still not get the outcome that you want. I have been passed up for promotions. I have created presentations that previous managers have literally copied and pasted from me and took credit for. But what I learned about from Let Them, it was common for me, but before I like really understood the concept of Let Them, I would spiral into like, what more do I have to do? What is wrong with me? But here's the Let Them approach. Let them make their decision. Let them overlook you. Let them underestimate you. Then shift the energy. Let me decide how I'll move forward. Let me update my resume. Let me network. Let me upskill and continue to learn and grow. I want to remind you of something very important. You are never powerless unless you hand your power over by fighting battles that aren't yours. So the next time you find yourself replaying a work disappointment, ask yourself, am I trying to change them or am I choosing me? That's the kind of power shift that changes careers. Now let's talk about boundaries because this is where most of us need help. Okay, look, I'm raising my hand virtually and physically. Okay, I'm going to say this again because this is one of the biggest challenges I face personally. So it might resonate with some of you. I have this really poor misconception that being available is associated with being valuable. We say yes to everything. The extra meeting, the late night email, the little project that is only going to be an hour a week. Spoiler alert, it's never an hour a week. But here's the thing. The let them theory helps you build boundaries without guilt. If someone expects you to answer an email at 10 p.m., let them. Let me close my laptop. I used to think that setting boundaries would prohibit me from growing, particularly professionally. But that's simply not true. Boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They keep in the good energy and keep the burnout out. Here's a quick reflection. I want you to grab a piece of paper. You don't have to type this into the chat. I want you to write down one boundary you've been breaking lately. Okay, think about it. I'll share mine. I've been checking my work email on my personal cell phone after hours. Not a good boundary to break. Now I want you to write down a line that says, let me. So for example, let me uninstall my work email on my personal cell phone. Tiny shifts like this can change your entire stress level. Now I'm going to say something that we're probably all thinking. You know, every workplace has that person. You know the one I'm talking about, the one that's constantly dramatic, allergic to accountability, could win an Oscar for eye rolling. We spend so much time trying to manage their moods. Here's the truth. You can't be responsible for other people's emotions. When adults throw tantrums, let them. Let them pout, let them gossip, let them stew. You are not the emotional janitor. You do not have to clean up every mess that someone else makes. Your job is to stay calm and clear. So instead of jumping into their chaos, try phrases like, whew, I hear you, let's revisit this later. Or my personal favorite, silence. Because nothing confuses a dramatic person more than you refusing to match their energy. So let's get real. Research from organizations like the Mind, American Institute of Stress, and the American Psychological Association identifies work as the leading cause of life stress for most people. Imagine that. And your manager has as much of an impact on your mental health as your spouse or your significant other. So how do you use the let them theory not to let work stress you out? For example, maybe you've been doing a stellar job at working. You've been hitting your numbers, you're going above and beyond. Clients and patients love you, and you're still not getting that recognition or promotion. You might feel frustrated, discouraged, powerless. And it's really no wonder why we're seeing record burnout numbers as it relates to workplace happiness, because people are stuck in this chronic state of stress. But what we have to do is realize that our stress at work isn't changing. What we need to do is change our approach to dealing with it. As overwhelming as it might be, we are not powerless. So now you might be thinking, all right, cool. So Elizabeth, how am I going to use the let them theory to get my boss to give me a promotion or a raise? Here's what I'm going to tell you. You don't. It's true. It's not fair. It is absolutely true that you may have earned that raise or that promotion. But let me ask you this. Who is responsible for your career? I'm going to ask you again. Who is responsible for your career? Yes, me. I am. That's right. You are. You cannot control if your company isn't going to promote you or give you a raise, no matter how much hard work you put in, no matter how many hours, blood, sweat, or tears, how many compliments you receive, the decision is up to them. And at some point, you have to stop being mad and you have to choose what you're going to do about it. Because if you let your emotions get the best of you, it is going to drive you crazy. If you let the stress of the situation take you over, you will never be able to think strategically about your next move. And there is always a next move. So let's tackle one more sneaky energy thief, which is comparison. And we all do it. Someone gets promoted, or a coworker gets a shout out on a company call, or you read a long, humble brag post on LinkedIn, and we instantly think, why not me? But let's flip that thought process and use the let them perspective. Let them succeed. Let them shine. Let them post pictures with their new title and their perfect headshot. Because guess what? Their success doesn't subtract from yours. It shows you what's possible. Comparison can either be a torture or a teacher. So instead of, why not me? Try, what can I learn from that? What are they doing that I can apply? How can I grow from this instead of shrink? The only race you're in is with the yesterday's version of you. So let them win the race. You've got your own finish line. All right, let me ask you this. Again, you don't have to put it in the chat, but if you want to write it down, you can. What changes would you make in your life if you weren't worried about being judged? What if you gave yourself permission to live your life and you gave other people permission to think what they wanted about it? How many times have you let fear prevent you from doing something? Maybe it's speaking up at a work meeting or sharing an idea or a thought, or maybe it's something as simple as posting a picture on social media. How many times have you feared putting yourself out there? If you are censoring yourself, it's because you fear other people's opinions. You're afraid of what other people think if they see the real you. You are the one telling yourself that you're not good enough. The constant questioning, editing, overthinking, and asking of other people, oh, what do you think? Only magnifies your self-doubt. And here's the crazy part. You're doing it to yourself. I find a lot of advice on this topic is not helpful, right? How many times have you heard, just stop caring what other people think? Now, I don't know about you, but that is easier said than done. What's missing is the how. The let them let me theory helps you unlock your confidence. Here's what I'll tell you. Give people the freedom to think something negative about you. Let them. You have zero control over someone else's opinion about you. Some of you might be listening to me talk right now and think to yourself, this Elizabeth lady is crazy. I have just wasted 30 minutes of my day that I will never get back. And you know what? That's okay. Fearing what other people think or trying to control their thoughts is a waste of my time. People are going to have negative opinions about you no matter what you do. Why? Because people are allowed to think whatever they want. So that is why it is a ludicrous waste of time and energy to worry about what other people think. All right, we've talked about stress, we've talked about boundaries, we've talked about comparison, basically how to stop giving other people free rent in your head. So let's bring it all together into a practical framework you can actually use when real life chaos hits. So here's your step-by-step let them framework for when life throws you a curveball, which, let's be honest, is usually even before lunch. So step one, pause. The pause is where your power hides. Before reacting, before typing that reply all email, before you vent to your bestie, take a breath. Step two, ask, is this mine to fix? If the answer is no, then it's probably a let them moment. If it's yes, then it's a let me opportunity. Step three is choose logic, not emotion. That doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means leading with wisdom, not with impulse. Step four is to grow. Every time you practice this, you build self-trust because the more you regulate your energy, the less the world gets to. There is a magic in this framework. It is not about being passive. It is about being intentional. You are not saying, I don't care. You're saying, I care about my peace more than I care about their chaos. And that shift, that's what separates leadership from reaction. Now, I'm curious how many of you have already thought about a situation where you can start using this framework. So drop it in the chat. Yes, you have something in mind that you want to apply this to. Good. Awesome. So I do want to dig just a little bit deeper because this theory also applies to leadership strategy because how we show up for others matters just as much as how we manage ourselves. A let them leader does not micromanage. They empower. They let people experiment, even fail, because that's how trust and innovation are built. They don't say things like, why didn't you do it my way? They say, let me understand your approach. They don't take every problem personally. They let the team wrestle, reflect, and rise. And here's the truth. When you stop trying to control every outcome, people start surprising you in the best ways. So whether you lead a team, a classroom, a family, or just yourself, the principle's the same. Let them learn. Let them try. Let them thrive, because leadership isn't about keeping everybody comfortable. It's about helping them grow without you losing your sanity in the process. When you master let them and naturally start to let go of control, resentment, of the unnecessary noise, and when you make room to let grow your peace, your confidence, your influence, these aren't just cute words that look good on a coffee mug. This is a life strategy. The less you chase people, the more you attract alignment. The less you try to control outcomes, the more opportunities flow your way. Because growth does not come from gripping tighter. It comes from releasing what isn't serving you. So the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, overcompensate, overreact, remember, let them, let go, let grow. Simple words, huge freedom. So I'm going to close today with a quick story. A few years ago, I went through one of those seasons where everything felt uphill. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. It was about a year after COVID. I was working full time. My husband and I decided to change our restaurant business model, which meant closing our doors to our restaurant for traditional breakfast and lunch service. And my youngest daughter was unexpectedly diagnosed with end stage kidney failure and needed a kidney transplant. I was under constant stress. I felt like everyone was questioning every decision I made. It was excessive noise all of the time. And I remember thinking, I am exhausted from trying to prove my value to people who have already decided what they think of me, whether that be my community members, my employees, my boss, my friends, my family. And that's when the shift happened. Instead of asking, why don't they see it? Why don't they see how hard I'm trying? I flipped the narrative. Why do I need them to? So I stopped over explaining. I stopped chasing validation. And you know what happened? The noise got quieter. The right people leaned in, the wrong ones drifted out. That's the power of this mindset. So as we wrap up today and you head back into your own world, your workplace, your relationships, your goals, I want you to carry this reminder with you. Let them underestimate you. Let you surprise them. Let you rise, because your peace, your confidence, your success, those belong to you. Let them think what they want. You, my friends, have got better things to do. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your energy with me today. If the let them theory resonated with you, I invite you to carry it forward as a daily practice, not just an idea. Let people be who they are. Let situations unfold as they will. If you'd like to explore this mindset more deeply, Mel Robbins offers incredibly powerful insights through other books, podcasts, online courses, digital platforms. Take what inspires you and return to it when you need grounding. Again, I really appreciate your time today. I have put my LinkedIn information up on the screen. You are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I know we're at 12:41, so I think we are at our time, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to hang on a little bit further.